Good morning, children. So, in the last class, we learnt about two activities. One is Moll's half-life experiment, and second one is sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. That is what's so called as black pepper experiment. And we have learnt von Helmont, John Ingenhousz, Engelmann, and Van Neel, and their contributions and their discoveries towards the gases or whatever that are there in the photosynthesis, right? So, you know that John Ingenhousz carried an experiment and he found that the bubbles which comes from the plant, an experiment, hydrilla experiment, okay. So, he did the experiment under the sunlight and found that those gas bubbles are oxygen, right. Now, Ingenhousz wanted to find out more about the photosynthesis, okay, and his concentration now it is on another factor, that is chloroplast or chlorophyll. See children, chloroplast is different and chlorophyll is different. In 9th class you learnt about chloroplast, mitochondria, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, okay, all these things are the cell organelles. So chloroplast is an organelle where chlorophyll is a pigment. So what is that? Chloroplast is an organelle whereas chlorophyll is a pigment. There is a difference. Chlorophyll is a molecule or a pigment which is present in the chloroplast. So chloroplast is a cell organelle. So Ingenhousz wanted to find out more about the photosynthesis and carried out several experiments. So he wanted to find out more about the photosynthesis, no doubt in that, and he carried out so many experiments. He proposed that only green plant parts could carry out the process of photosynthesis. So what he told, only green colored parts could carry out the process of photosynthesis. So who gave this statement? Yes, John Ingenhousz. What about the plants having colored leaves? So if that is the case, what he proposed? He proposed that only green colored parts could carry out the process of photosynthesis. If that is the case, then what about the other colors? You see children, if you will observe, some plants are having the other colored leaves also, like brown and red, okay. Then what about those colors? Do they carry out the photosynthesis? Yes or no? Yes, they also carry out the photosynthesis. But according to Ingenhousz, he told that only green parts carry out the photosynthesis. Then what about the other colors? This is the question. So what about the plants having colored leaf? How is it that new leaves which look dark red in color in several plants turn green? So how is that dark red in color turns into green? So this is another question. Okay, so he told that only green colored parts carry out photosynthesis. Then what about the other colored leaves? And how is it that new leaves which look dark red in color turn into green? Do plants have having reddish or yellow color leaves? Reddish or yellow color leaves? Do plants have reddish or yellow color leaves carry out photosynthesis? Okay, carry out photosynthesis. So once again I repeat, John Ingenhousz, he wanted to know more about photosynthesis and he proposed that only green colored parts of the plant carry out photosynthesis. Then what about the other colors? Some colors are like red or yellow, like plants are having these colors also, these color leaves also. That means, do they perform photosynthesis or not? Yes, they perform photosynthesis. But according to him, according to John Ingenhousz, he told that only green color. Then what about the remaining color? Do they perform photosynthesis or not? So this is the question mark. And the new leaves which are dark red in color, they turn into green. How they turn into green? So here, next one, What made plants carry out photosynthesis? What made plant carry out photosynthesis while even green colored animals could not? So here, according to him, he told that only green colored parts of a plant carry out photosynthesis. So if that is the case, then what about the other colors? So that is a question mark. And once again, coming to his point, whose point? Ingenou's point. He told that only green colored parts carry out photosynthesis. Then what about the green colored animals? See children, you will be seeing so many green colored animals. Yes or no? That means according to him, they also should perform photosynthesis. But is that right according to biology? Do animals carry out photosynthesis, children? No, they can't. But he told that only green colored parts. Then what about the green colored animals? So that is also wrong. So according to him, what he told is not exactly right. Okay, we should go in depth. So questions like these remain challenges for the scientists. Okay, so these remained challenges for the scientists until scientists could isolate the green color substance from the plant parts, okay, those here, and study the nature. So these questions like what about the remaining color of the plant, like yellow or reddish, do they carry out photosynthesis? He told that only green colored parts. Then plants will be having different color leaves. What about them? And some animals are green in color. Do they carry out photosynthesis? So these questions remain challenge for the scientists until they isolate a green color substance from the plant parts. So establishment of Ingenou's proposition become possible in the year 1878. In the year 1817. So he proposed that only green colored parts carry out photosynthesis. So establishment of Ingenou's proposition could possible only in 1878 due to the work of two scientists. One is Pellitter and other one is Caventou. So establishment of these two scientists, Pellitter and Caventou, what they did, they obtained an extract of green colored substance and named it as chlorophyll. So these two scientists, Pellitter and Caventou, so they extracted a green colored pigment or substance which is called as chlorophyll. So here once again I repeat, John Ingenous wanted to know more about photosynthesis and he gave one statement. What is that statement? Only green colored parts carry out photosynthesis. If that is the case, what about the remaining color leaves? Okay, like a reddish or yellowish in color. Do they perform photosynthesis or not? This is one question. And what about the animals? Some animals are green in color. So this is animals cannot perform photosynthesis. We know that. Then some animals are green in color. So according to him, they should perform photosynthesis also. Yes or no? So but that is not possible. So these questions remain challenge for the scientists until they isolate a green color substance. So the establishment of Ingenou's proposition came into existence. Okay. In year 1878 due to work of two scientists, one is Pellitter and other one is Caventou. What they did? They extracted a green color pigment which is called as chlorophyll. Okay. Children, just now we have learned a pigment which is called as chlorophyll. So chlorophyll, what is the meaning of chlorophyll? So the meaning of chlorophyll is meaning is green leaf, right? So not only this children, this is a pigment. You just write the definition of the pigment. So pigment is a molecule. Pigment is a molecule which absorbs light. Pigment is a molecule. Pigment is a molecule which absorbs light of a specific wavelength. Which absorbs light of a specific wavelength. So this is the definition of pigment. So pigment is a molecule which absorbs light of a specific wavelength in the visible region or visible spectrum. So chlorophyll is a pigment. Like that, so many pigments are there, like carotenoids, phycophylls, phycobilins, xanthophyll. All these are the pigments. And these pigments, here you can see these pigments could aid in the process. Aid means help in the process of photosynthesis by passing on the energy of sunlight and trap by them to chlorophyll. So not only this chlorophyll, so these are also which are called as accessory pigments, like carotenoids, phycobilins, xanthophyll. These also trap the solar energy and give to the chlorophyll. So they help in the process of photosynthesis. Next, where does the photosynthesis exactly takes place? Do they take place in the stem? Do they take place in the root? Okay, next one. So photosynthesis, we know that it takes place in the leaf. Then where exactly? Let us know. So if you want to find out the answer, where exactly the photosynthesis takes place, let us go in depth of this topic. Okay, right. So here, try to name some parts where you think photosynthesis occur. So where you think the photosynthesis occur? Yes, children, photosynthesis occurs in the leaf and in some plant stem also. Okay. And where is the chlorophyll and other pigments present in the leaf? And we know, just now we learned that the chlorophyll, xanthophyll, phycobilins and carotenoids, where they exactly present. Do you think the new reddish leaves of a plant also carry out photosynthesis? If you want to know the answers for these questions, let us have the transverse section of leaf diagram. Okay. So the exact location of photosynthesis part or a part containing chlorophyll was not known till another 6 decades. What do you mean by 6 decades? So here now the concept is, we know that photosynthesis takes place in the leaf, no doubt in that, but where exactly? Where exactly? So that is the point. For example, you know that your friend will be residing in the area like Vizag or Vijayawada or what, Hyderabad, but if you want to reach him, you should know pinpoint address. Yes or no? So here also, like his street name, his house name, and house address, number, pin code, whatever. You should know each and every detail if you want to go there. Like this, we know that leaves perform photosynthesis, but where exactly? So try to find out. Now let us try to find out the answer. So here the exact location of the photosynthetic part or a part containing chlorophyll was not known till another 6 decades. 6 decades means 60 years. See children, how surprising. Still see, after the exact location, we know that this is a pigment, chlorophyll. So, okay, so here John Ingenhousz, you want to know more about the photosynthesis, and Pellitter and Caven too, two scientists extracted this green colored pigment which is called as chlorophyll. But where exactly the photosynthesis takes place? So it took 60 more years for the scientists to find out. Okay, and here after the discovery of chlorophyll. In 1883, so in the year of 1883, Julius von Sachs. Okay, Julius von Sachs. So here I'm writing Julius von SACHS, Sachs. Children, you just remember the scientist names and their contribution. They may ask in the bits. Understand? In the board exams, they ask in the bits. Like what Ingenhousz proposed, what Engelmann did, Next, what Van Helmont did, what Priestley did, what Lavoisier did. And now it is the turn of Julius Van Sachs. So here, after 60 years, it is possible for, still 60 years after the discovery of chlorophyll, okay, after 60 years only, it was possible for Julius Van Sachs observed that chlorophyll is found in organelles. Chlorophyll is found in organelles within the cell. Such organelles are named as chloroplast. So, this chlorophyll, it is present in an organelle which is called as chloroplast. And we know this, but who told this? Julius Van Sachs. After the discovery of chlorophyll, after 60 years, and he exactly found the location of the chlorophyll. So, this chlorophyll is present in the chloroplast. Who told this? Julius Van Sachs. These are present in large numbers in the cell, around 40 to 100 of its parts, like the stomatal guard cells and the ground tissues of green parts of the plant. So, these are present in large numbers of the cells, around 40 to 100 of parts, and like the stomatal guard cells, and the next one is ground tissues of the green parts of the plant. Now let us know and let us have a look into the transverse section of leaf. Okay. Yeah. Children, now see, this is the diagram representing the transverse section of leaf. Leaf is this, children? TS. TS means transverse section of leaf. Children, if you will observe the leaf shape will be different. Yes or no? But this is, if you section transversely the leaf, this will be the diagram. This diagram is very important. Okay. And so many parts are there. You can see this line is called as cuticle, children. The same cuticle you can see down also the cuticle. So upper cuticle, lower cuticle. What is this cuticle? This cuticle protects the epidermis, and this is called as epidermis, children. This is called as epidermis. So this is upper epidermis. This is upper epidermis, and the same epidermis you can see down also, children. Okay, this is called as lower epidermis. This is lower epidermis, this is upper epidermis. And after that you can see these are the palisade parenchyma. These are parenchyma, no doubt. Okay, and this is also parenchyma. What is the difference, children? If you will see here, these two rows are arranged in a regular fashion. These are arranged, these parenchyma cells are arranged in a regular fashion, whereas this row, these are not arranged in a regular fashion. That makes the difference. Okay, these are arranged regularly and these are arranged irregularly. That is the difference. So the regular arrangement of this parenchymatous cells is called palisade parenchyma, whereas this is also parenchyma, no doubt in that, but this is a spongy parenchyma. Palisade parenchyma, spongy parenchyma. So this is palisade parenchyma and this is a spongy parenchyma, and this is a vascular bundle. What is this, children? This is a vascular bundle, and this vascular bundle contains xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem. You know that in 9th class you learned xylem is a water conducting tissue, phloem is the food conducting tissue, and this is spongy parenchyma, and this space is there. No, this space, this is air space. And you can see one more important thing, that is which is present in the lower epidermis. There are interruptions. This interruption is called as the place where the stomata is located, and the stomata are guarded by guard cells. Stomata are guarded by guard cells, and the chloroplast is anyway, you can see the chloroplast. So this is the transverse section of leaf. Upper epidermis, lower epidermis, palisade parenchyma, spongy parenchyma, vascular bundle in the middle, xylem, phloem, chloroplast, stomata, guard cells, air space. So these are the parts that are present in this. Okay. Children, just now we have seen the transverse section of leaf. Where exactly the chloroplast is present, you have seen. Yes or no? Right. If a cell is broken into several pieces, where the cell is present, children? The cell is present everywhere in the plant body. It is present in the root, it is present in the stem, it is present in the leaf. Okay, so wherever in our human body beings also, the cell is present everywhere. So why? Because we are multicellular, we are having so many cells, like plants are also having so many cells. If cell is broken up, the chloroplast also breaks into pieces. So okay, if cell is broken up, the chloroplast also breaks into pieces. Okay, if cell is broken up, the chloroplast breaks into pieces. So it becomes very difficult to isolate them to study the different steps of photosynthesis. So if a cell is broken up, the chloroplast also breaks into pieces, then it is very difficult to, difficult task to isolate them. Isolate means separate them, to study the different steps of photosynthesis. It was not until 1954 that Daniel I. Arnon, one more scientist, children, keep in your mind all these scientists' names. Daniel I. Arnon. The scientist name is Daniel I. Arnon. So it was not until 1954 that Daniel I. Arnon was able to break up plant cells so gently. If you will break the plant cell, the chloroplast will be broken and it is very difficult to isolate. But who did this very specially and very carefully? Daniel I. Arnon break up the plant cells in so gently so that whole chloroplast could be obtained for study in the lab. So the task is, we have to break the plant cell and we have to isolate the chloroplast. If you break the plant cell, the chloroplast will be broken. So that is the reason. Then how could we isolate? Then how could we isolate the chloroplast? How could we study? So this is done by Daniel I. Arnon. He gently break the plant cell and he successfully isolated the chloroplast and studied that in the lab. Now let us see the structure of chloroplast. So far we have seen the TS of leaf. Now let's go for the TS of chloroplast. TS of chloroplast, as you know that chloroplast is a disc shape. It has found that chloroplast is a membranous structure. So this is a membranous structure, children. This is a membranous structure. See, children, I'm drawing here. So this is a membranous structure, double membrane. Okay. So this is a TS of chloroplast. TS of chloroplast. Let's see what are the parts that are present here. So this is a membrane, no doubt in that. Double membrane. Okay. So here it has been found that, and this is a disc shape, children. The chloroplast shape, this is a disc shape or oval shape, you can write disc or oval shape. Oval means egg. Okay. So disc shape, this is in the shape of egg, yes or no? Right. So chloroplast is a double membranous structure, and this chloroplast you have seen in the transverse section of leaf, yes or no? Right. Why we have to study this chloroplast? Why? Because now our main target is to find the chlorophyll. Where is the chlorophyll present? You know that chlorophyll is a pigment. This is present in this organelle. So it has been found that chloroplast is a membranous structure consisting of membranes. The innermost layer, which is a stack-like structure called as grana, So the innermost layer, so here see, children, so this is what's so called as grana. This is grana. Like this, the grana will be present. So these will be having connections like this. Okay. So this is what's so called as grana. Like this, here also you can draw, no problem. Okay. Right. So this is a grana. I'm writing the part here. Okay. Mainly chloroplast consists of two layers, one is grana and that one is stroma. The colorless area, so this is the colorless area, you can simply see the colorless area, okay, which is a fluid like structure, okay, which is a fluid like structure, and this is called as a stroma, children. This is, what is this? This is stroma. So grana and stroma are very important, grana and stroma, and you can observe the stroma thylakoid, that's the stroma thylakoid, you can see, children. This is the stroma thylakoid. Stroma thylakoid and granum thylakoid. So this is granum thylakoid. Stroma thylakoid and grana thylakoid. Granum is singular and grana is plural. You can write grana thylakoid. And lipid globule is present, children. You can observe, actually this is not there. Okay, right. So what are the things that are there? Membrane, grana, stroma thylakoid, grana, stroma, grana thylakoid. These are the 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what is the importance of this grana? What is the importance of the stroma? Let us learn, okay, in the mechanism of photosynthesis, that is light reaction and dark reaction. So it has been found that chloroplast is a membranous structure consisting of membranes. Innermost layer, which is a stack-like structure called as grana, it is said to be the, so what is the function of grana? It is believed that it is site for trapping solar energy. So the sunlight energy is there, no? So the sunlight energy, it will be trapped, the solar energy, okay, the solar energy, okay. So grana is the site for trapping solar energy. Grana is the site for trapping solar energy, that is light energy. Why? Because for photosynthesis light energy is required, no doubt in that. The intermediary fluid portion is called stroma. It is believed, okay, it is believed that it is responsible for enzymatic reactions leading to the synthesis of glucose, which in turn join together to form starch, right? So two main parts I told you already. Grana is the site for trapping solar energy. Stroma, the intermediary fluid or the liquid fluid or the liquid part, it is responsible for enzymatic reactions. What is this, children? Enzymatic reactions. Enzymatic reaction, that means so many enzymes reactions will take place in the stroma, which helps in the formation of synthesis of glucose, which in turn join together to form starch. That means food is prepared here. Anyway, these two reactions, light reaction and dark reaction. Light reaction is trapping of the light energy which takes place in the grana, and dark reaction, that is the preparation of food material, which is a glucose, in turn to join together to form starch, takes place in stroma. So substances found in the chloroplast which capture sunlight are called photosynthetic pigments. I told you already, chlorophyll, xanthophyll, phycobilins, carotenoids, all these are photosynthetic pigments. Those are present in the chloroplast. Okay, there are several types of photosynthetic pigments involved in the process to produce organic molecules like glucose. Not only one, so many pigments are organized to form a center which is called as the reaction center. Chlorophyll is such a pigment. Now let us learn about the chlorophyll. Once again I repeat here, the chloroplast is an organelle, chlorophyll is a pigment. This is a double membrane, and what is the shape, children? Disc or oval shape. And what are the parts? These are called as grana, and this is a group is called as granum thylakoid. The fluid portion is called stroma, and this connection is called as stroma thylakoid. Two main parts are there. Grana is useful for trapping or receiving the solar energy, which helps in light reaction. And next one is stroma, helpful for enzymatic reaction. These enzymes helps the plant to prepare glucose, which in turn join together to form starch. So many molecules are present here. These molecules helps in trapping the solar energy and helpful for food preparation. Now let us learn the important part, that is chlorophyll. Okay. Right children, just now we have learnt about the structure of chloroplast, and now let's see the important pigment, that is chlorophyll. See children, chlorophyll is a pigment or a molecule. Okay, it is similar to the hemoglobin. Why I am comparing with the hemoglobin? Let's see. Children, what is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is a pigment which helps in the transport of oxygen. And due to the presence of hemoglobin, the blood appears red in color. So chlorophyll is such a pigment which contain one molecule of one atom of magnesium. So chlorophyll contains, what is the atom? Magnesium. Chlorophyll contains magnesium, whereas hemoglobin contains iron. This is the only difference. The remaining structure, whole structure is same. So the difference between, so chlorophyll resembles hemoglobin. Resembles means similar to. Okay. So resembles hemoglobin structure, but a small difference is there. What is the difference? Chlorophyll contains magnesium and hemoglobin contains iron. And you just now I told you about this functions of this hemoglobin. It helps in the transport of oxygen. Let's go for the types of chlorophyll. Two major kinds of chlorophyll pigments are associated with thylakoid membranes. Chlorophyll A. So how many types are there children? Two types. Chlorophyll A and second one is chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. So chlorophyll A is bluish green in color, chlorophyll B is yellowish green in color. See the difference children. Chlorophyll A is bluish green in color. Bluish green in color, whereas chlorophyll B is yellowish green in color. So once again I repeat, chlorophyll is a pigment, okay, which is very important for trapping the solar energy, and this chlorophyll resembles a hemoglobin. That means chlorophyll structure and hemoglobin structure almost same, but one small difference, their magnesium atom is present, here iron is present. And how many types of chlorophylls are there? Two types children. One is chlorophyll A, that is bluish green in color, and second one is chlorophyll B, which is yellowish green in color. So chlorophyll A is, what is the color? Bluish green, and chlorophyll B is yellowish green in color. Around 250 to 400 pigments. How many? 250 to 400. Around 250 to 400. Okay. Around 250 to 400 pigment molecules are grouped as a light harvesting complex or photosynthetic unit in each thylakoid. So which is nothing but that is a reaction center. That is photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, that you will learn in your higher classes about these reaction centers. And photosystem 1, photosystem 2, not photosynthesis, photosystem 1 and photosystem 2, right. So these 250 to 400 pigment molecules are grouped like a light harvesting complex or photosynthetic unit in each thylakoid. Such innumerable pigment function together in chloroplast, okay, in the process of photosynthesis. So this is about the structure of chloroplast and functions of chlorophyll, types of chlorophyll, and about the light harvesting complex. So these 250 to 400, okay, pigment molecules are grouped together as light harvesting complex or photosynthetic unit in each thylakoid. Such innumerable unit function together in chloroplast. These all grouped together and function together in a chloroplast for the process of photosynthesis. Now let's go into the mechanism of photosynthesis. Okay. Yeah, children, so far we have learned the chloroplast and the types of the chlorophyll. Now let's go for the steps or events in photosynthesis. Actually, this is the mechanism of photosynthesis, children. This mechanism of photosynthesis is divided into two. One is a light reaction. Another one is dark reaction. So the first one is light reaction, second one is dark reaction. So mainly these are divided. The mechanism of photosynthesis, nothing but how these plants utilize the solar energy and how they prepare the food material. So this total sequence, this total process is divided into either two reactions or three steps. The first step is conversion of light energy to chemical energy. The first step is conversion of light energy to chemical energy. Conversion of light energy to chemical energy, this is the first one. And second one is splitting of water molecule. Second one is splitting. Splitting means breaking. Splitting of water molecule, which is called as photolysis. Splitting of water molecule. And third one is reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. Reduction of carbon dioxide, CO2, to carbohydrates. So here the total photosynthesis process is divided into either two reactions. One is a light reaction and dark reaction. Second one is either into three steps or events. One is conversion of light energy to chemical energy. Splitting of water molecule, which is called as photolysis. Photo means light, lysis means breaking. It is not the breaking of light. I will inform what is that. And reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. Reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate. The first two steps, this conversion of light energy to chemical energy, splitting of water molecule, these two steps comes under light reaction. The third step comes under dark reaction. Right. Now let us learn this light reaction and a dark reaction. So light is required to initiate several events, while several may contain even in the absence of it. That would mean once light energy has captured, it can help reactions to continue even in the dark. Right. So light dependent reactions are called light reactions and light independent reactions are called dark reactions. Now let us learn the light reaction, which is called as light dependent reaction and light independent reaction. That means here we are going to learn two steps. One is light reaction, second one is dark reaction. Light reaction and dark reaction. Fine. Now let's see, children, what is this light reaction and dark reaction. Fine. You know that sunlight plays a key role. Why? Because plants need the energy to release oxygen, that you have learned. Yes or no? Right. So I will explain here. Right here, see, children, this is sun. I am now explaining light reaction. So plants, that is leaf, that is chlorophyll. Finally, receives the sunlight. When plants receive the sunlight, that sunlight reaches into the leaf and from the leaf it reaches into the chloroplast. Inside the chloroplast, chlorophyll is present. See how depth it is going. So first of all, this light is received by number one, plant. No doubt in that. In the plant, leaf. Inside the leaf, chloroplast. Inside the chloroplast, chlorophyll. So that is the reason I wrote here the sunlight. So this is light energy is received by the chlorophyll, is received by the chlorophyll. Okay, so the chlorophyll on exposure to light becomes activated by absorbing photons. So simply, so whenever this chlorophyll receives, it goes to higher energy state. That means it is activated. So I am keeping this mark. So this is normal state. This is normal state, children. Whenever it receives the sunlight, it goes to high energy state. It goes to higher energy state. Yes or no? So when you will eat something, instantly you will get energy. Like that, whenever the chlorophyll receives the sunlight, it goes to higher energy state. It goes to higher energy state. And this higher energy, the energy which is received by the sunlight, what this chlorophyll will do. So here, how this absorbs the photons. What do you mean by photon? Photons are the particles. So these chlorophyll molecules absorbs the photons which is present in the sunlight and goes to higher energy state. This higher energy state, that means it has the power. This power is used in splitting water molecule to release oxygen. Right, it's simple. So this higher energy state of the chlorophyll is used to split water molecule. So H2O we will get H plus and OH minus ions. H plus and OH minus ions. Okay, right. So here the process of breakdown of water molecule by light activated chlorophyll. Why I am telling light activated chlorophyll? This is not the normal chlorophyll. It got the power. How it got the power? By receiving the photons present in the sunlight. Before that is normal. Whenever it receives the photons, it goes to the higher energy state. That means it gets the power. That power is used to break the water molecule. See children, the water is present. We will pour the water goes to the soil. So the water is present inside the soil and sunlight is present above and chlorophyll is present in the leaves. See how much the coordination is there and the link is there. So here the light is not breaking the water molecule directly. The light is breaking the water molecule. First of all, it is acting on the chlorophyll to going to the higher energy state, and this higher energy state are the power used to break water molecule. To release oxygen. So whenever the water molecule has broken down, oxygen is released. That is what we have learnt in photosynthesis. Equation 6CO2 plus 12H2O give rise to C6H12O6 plus 6O2 plus 6H2O. Yes or no? So that means oxygen is released, water molecule is broken down. How the water molecule is broken down? By chlorophyll. How this chlorophyll has got the power? From the sunlight. See, sunlight is not directly breaking the water molecule. It is acting on the chlorophyll, and pushing the chlorophyll to higher energy state, and this is getting the power. That power is used to break the water molecule. So this reaction is known as, what is this reaction children? Photolysis. Photo means, what is a photo? Light. Photo means light. Lysis means breaking. This is not the breaking of light children. Don't mistake. This is not the breaking of light. This is the breaking of water molecule by light activated chlorophyll. So once again I repeat, whenever sunlight falls on the chlorophyll will get the power. That power is used to break the water molecule. That's it. Simply. So this power which is received from the sunlight is used to break the water molecule. And here oxygen is released. Right. So here this was discovered by, this entire reaction is discovered by Robert Hill. This is very important bit children. Robert Hill, that is why it is also called as Hill's reaction. Hill's reaction. Three names are there: light reaction, light dependent reaction, Hill's reaction. Okay, light reaction, light dependent reaction, and Hill's reaction. Right. Hydrogen produced in photolysis is immediately picked up by. So here the hydrogen is produced and oxygen is released. Simply you can write like this also, children. So if a water molecule is broken down, if the water molecule is broken down, okay, so simply alter 2H2O give rise to, okay, 4 hydrogens plus, see children, 4 protons, 4 electrons and oxygen. Like this also you can write. So 4 protons and 4 electrons are present here in 4 hydrogen. Yes or no? This is 4 hydrogen atoms. 2 into 2, that is equal to 4. In 1 hydrogen atom, 1 proton and 1 electron. 4 hydrogen is 4 protons and 4 electrons. Anyway, this oxygen is. So this is simply here the hydrogens. Okay. So the hydrogen produced in photolysis is immediately picked up by special compound which is called as NADP. So this hydrogen, here the hydrogen is produced. Hydrogen, so you can simply tell here protons, okay, is picked up by, okay, these are picked up by NADP. These are picked up by NADP to form. Okay, so here 4 hydrogens, 4 H plus and 4 electrons. Okay, so this is these electrons, not protons, these electrons are accepted by NADP. These electrons are accepted by NADP. Simply you can write electrons or you can write hydrogen, no problem. Okay, these electrons are accepted by this NADP to form NADPH. Children, you will get one doubt. What is this H, sir? H is nothing but addition of electron or addition of hydrogen is nothing but reduction. Okay, so here see, there is a difference between oxidation and reduction. Oxidation is addition of oxygen and addition of removal of electrons. Here the electrons are added, that means this is reduced. What is here NADP? What is NADP, children? So here see, once again I will explain here. So we learned that here these electrons are accepted by NADP to produce NADPH. N means nicotinamide. N means nicotinamide. A means adenosine. Here N means nicotinamide. N means nicotinamide. A means adenine. And D means dinucleotide. D means dinucleotide. P means phosphate. P means phosphate. So NADP full form is, before this is NADP, nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide, phosphate. N for nicotinamide, A for adenine, D for dinucleotide, P for phosphate. Nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide, phosphate. NADP, which is called as electron acceptor. Why? Because it accepts the electrons that are produced in the photolysis. Yes or no? Okay, right. So here, whenever this accepts the electron, it gets reduced. So now it is called as reduced. Now there is a difference between NADP and NADPH. NADP is nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide, phosphate. NADPH is reduced. Simply you can add reduced in prefix of this compound. Reduced nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide, phosphate. So here, this is the one product that is formed, and next one is ATP. Another rich compound ATP is also formed. So simply, what are the end products of light reaction? ATP, adenosine triphosphate. What is ATP? Adenosine triphosphate. So I am writing here A for adenosine. A for adenosine, T for tri means 3, and P for phosphate. See these full forms. One is NADP, nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide, phosphate. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. So these are the end products that are formed in light reaction. Till now, we didn't get any glucose, we didn't get any starch. Simply, in this light reaction, what has taken place? Chlorophyll receives the light, gets the power, that power is used to break the water molecule. Whenever the water molecule is broken, that hydrogen or electrons are released and oxygen is released anyway, and this is used, this is taken up by NADP, which is electron acceptor, to form NADPH. And anyway, ATP is formed. What is ATP? Adenosine triphosphate. This whole sequence of events are discovered by Robert Hill. That is why it is called Hill's reaction, and it takes place in the presence of light. That is called as light reaction or light dependent reaction. You can name another one, photochemical phase. Photo means light, photochemical phase. So this is light reaction, children. Okay.